I'm ready. Come on.
Feel it coming in the air. Hear the screams from everywhere. I'm addicted to the thrill. It's a dangerous love affair. Can't be scared when it goes down. Got a problem, tell me now. Only thing that's on my mind is who gonna run this town tonight.
Dirk Nowitzki with 30,000 points.
Victory's within the mile. Almost there, don't give up now. Only thing that's on my mind is who gonna run this town tonight. Who gonna run this town tonight?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to our annual March Madness tournament recap from Jam Sports. Of course, we're your host, Max Danielsen.
And I'm Jared Hedges.
Now, of course, Jared, when March comes around, one of the greatest traditions that everyone tends to do is to not only watch March Madness, but as well fill out a tournament bracket. Of course, we did that as well. We will mention the winners of the tournament bracket at the end of this segment. But let's jump into the women's side of March Madness. Now, of course, the biggest blowout, I think we could both agree, was on the women's side, with number 1 UConn in round 1 defeating SFU, which was the number 16 seed, by the score of 140-52, an 88-point blowout, almost a 100-point blowout.
And, you know, last year, number 1 UConn got beat in the finals. Well, UConn lost in the Final Four to number 1 Notre Dame on a buzzer beater by Arike Ongunboale by the score of 91-89.
Now, of course, in the championship game, Notre Dame won against number 1 Mississippi State, and the same person who hit the buzzer beater in the Final Four game hit the buzzer beater as well in the national championship. Now, Jared, I think to understand what it's like to hit a buzzer beater, especially in March Madness, we have to go to one of the best shots. Of course, in 2014, Georgia State, who is a number 14 seed, defeated number 3 Baylor, and of course the shot was by RJ Hunter. So here is what RJ has to say about what it's like to make a game-winning shot.
It was cool. I think it's helped me with stuff even like today, a couple years later. So it's a moment that I'll never forget, and kind of a supernatural, surreal moment that you don't really get often. So I've always appreciated it. I watch it from time to time, and it was definitely a blessing.
And moving on to the men's tournament, number 11 Loyola, the Cinderella of the whole tournament, upset number 6 Miami by the score of 64-62.
And of course, piggybacking on what Loyola, how about everyone's favorite nun, Sister Jean, of course. The last time Loyola would be in the Final Four, of course they went to this year's Final Four, was in 1963. And believe it or not, ESPN actually found a photo of what Sister Jean looked like in that time. So on the screen, we'll put a photo of what she looked like today and what she looked like back in 1963. And then number 13, Marshall upset number 4, Wichita State by the score of 81-75. And then number 13, Buffalo upset number 4, Arizona by the score of 89-68. Now, of course, Arizona losing upset a lot of brackets. But of course, what was the big one that really broke everyone's bracket?
And you know, me with college basketball, I don't pay as much attention to it. I would have thought in the history of college basketball in the March Madness tournament that a 16 seed would have won against a 1 seed in the first round. Well, that happened to not be the case. And this year, number 16 UMBC defeated number 1 Virginia by the score of 74-54.
Now, a 20-point blowout. You would think maybe it may have been a buzzer beater and they just got lucky, but not maybe a 20-point blowout. Not only is that the first time, like he said, that a number 16 seed defeated a number 1 seed in March Madness, but you never really see a number 1 seed get blown out by 20 points. And of course, then going on, the number 11 Syracuse Orange upset the number 6 TCU Horned Frogs by the score of 57-52. And then going into the second round, the number 11 Loyola upset the number 3 Tennessee Volunteers by the score of 63 to 62. And then again, the number 11 Syracuse Orange upset the number 3 seeded Michigan State Spartans by the score of 55 to 53.
And moving on to this game, the number 7 Texas A&M upset number 2 North Carolina, and many people had North Carolina going to the Sweet 16 and to the Elite 8.
I mean, we've always seen North Carolina either go to the Elite 8, the Sweet 16, or of course the Final Four. But that was not the case this year, as they lost to number 7 Texas A&M by the score of 86 to 65. And then going on, the number 9 Florida State Seminoles were upsetted the number 1 seeded Xavier by the score of 75 to 70, and then number 7 Nevada upset number 2 Cincinnati by the score of 75 to 73.
And moving on to Clemson, the 5th seed, blew out number 4 Auburn by the score of 84 to 53. It was really not a close game.
No, not at all. And then there were only 16 teams left as we go into the Sweet 16. The number 11 Loyola upset the number 7 Nevada by the score of 69 to 68. Then number 9 Florida State upset number 4 Gonzaga by the score of 75 to 60.
And another game that many people had going the other way, number 9 Kansas State upset number 5 Kentucky by the score of 61 to 58. And then number 3 Texas Tech defeated number 2 Purdue by the score of 78 to 65.
And then going into the Elite 8, the number 11 seeded Loyola upset number 9 Kansas State by the score of 78 to 62. And then the number 1 seed Kansas Jayhawks defeated the number 2 seeded Duke Blue Devils in an exciting game that went to overtime with the score of 85 to 81. Now, Jared, of course, I don't know if you got to see this game, but it was such an exciting game. It seemed like Duke was so close to winning, as of course Grayson Allen at the very last second had a chance to win it with a lefty fadeaway shot. Didn't go in, Kansas dodged a bullet, and then went on to win the game. And then going into the Final Four, the teams were Michigan, Loyola, Villanova, and Kansas. Of course, then going into the number 3 Michigan Wolverines defeated number 11 Loyola, ending the Cinderella story by the score of 69 to 57. And then number 1 Villanova defeated number 1 Kansas by the score of 95 to 79.
And moving on to the championship game, Villanova defeated number 3 Michigan by the score of 79 to 62. And the most valuable player of the whole tournament was Dante DiVincenzo.
Now, of course, in that game, he posted a 31-point game with 3 assists and 5 rebounds, one of the best performances we've ever seen in a championship game. Of course, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets drafted this year, especially after that performance. And this is their second championship in 3 years. Of course, their last one came a couple seasons ago. But to really understand what it's like to play in a championship game, I think we have to ask someone who's been in a March Madness championship game, former Villanova alum Ryan Archidiacono, who was the assister on the Chris Jenkins shot to win the championship game in March Madness. Here's what he had to say about a championship game, and especially the very last shot of the game.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, just to go through that experience, play in front of a big crowd, and just know that my last game was national championship was an amazing feeling for everyone.
And Jared, what a better way to end off our Jam Sports March Madness segment with mentioning our top 5 finishers in our Jam Sports March Madness Tournament Challenge. In first place, Zach Zapp 7 finished with 1,060 points and correctly picked the championship winner of this year's March Madness with the selection of Villanova.
And then in second place, S. Bailey _16 had 810 points and picked Virginia.
And then Jake Reed in third place had 790 points and picked Virginia.
And then you, Max Danielsen, coming up in fourth place with 680 points, picked Kansas.
Now, I think, I probably should have won it since it's our very own. But you know what? I'll take a top 5 finish. It's better than getting nothing. And then in fifth place, Sniper Snyder finished with 670 points and picked Kansas. Jared, I think this recaps our annual March Madness recap, as we thank you for watching from myself, Max Danielsen,
and Jared Hedges.
And of course, always wishing you a pleasant good morning, a good afternoon, or good evening to you, whenever or wherever you may be watching. Thank you.